All right, now let's look at this example. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give an example of using the calculator, the Texas Instruments calculator, to calculate the cumulative relative frequency of the previous example with uh, black hair, blonde hair, and brown hair. I'm going to use the same calculator function, which is cumulative sum, that is going to be used down here. But let me build off of the previous example. And once I do that previous example, you can do this one on your own and try and follow along and use this as a second guided example. Okay, instead of this being the only one that I've got on video, right? So, um, I'm going to be using, the same functions that you would in this example, but with the previous one, right? Since I've already kind of got that ready to go. So from previously, right, this first list was our list of frequencies. List two was the calculated relative frequency. And what we want to do is make list three to be the list of cumulative frequencies. So what we want to do is we want to take this first relative frequency and just put it here. And then the next cumulative frequency will be 0.3 plus 0.28, and that'll give us this number. And then we'll take this number, add 0.42 to it, and that'll give us this cumulative relative frequency. And the calculator makes it really easy to calculate those cumulative relative frequencies for you. So remember, list one is our list of frequencies. List two is our list of relative frequencies. So what we want to do is we want to use a cumulative sum function. Okay, and where that lives is we need to look at our list of operations, our list of functions that we can apply to lists. So to get to those, we need to hit the blue second button and then the stat button. And actually, let me go back. I didn't do anything wrong there, but again, I want to highlight, make sure that the cell that's currently selected is the column header, L3. Make sure that this bottom cell is not selected, okay? Make sure list three is selected. All right, let's continue. So second button, stat button to get to our operations we can apply on lists. And now go to the ops menu. Okay, so under the ops menu, we've got a function, an operation called cumulative sum. So we can use this cumulative sum function, and we want the cumulative sum of list two. So remember, list two, L2, is here above the number two button, and because it's in blue, we have to use the blue second button first, followed by the number two button, and it puts L2 there. And because whenever you use functions, you've got a left parentheses, we have to close that off with a right parentheses, and then hit enter. And this is our cumulative sum. 0.3 plus 0.28 gives us 0.58. And 0.58 plus 0.42 gives us 1. And remember I said earlier that all of the relative frequencies should add up to 1? So all of these relative frequencies add up to 1. So these relative frequencies look like they're correct. Now, you might end up with a value that doesn't exactly equal 1. Maybe it's 0.99 or 1.01. And that can happen if these relative frequencies end up getting rounded. Okay, if these were rounded, it could throw this off a tiny bit. So just be aware of that. Okay, so that ends this little example of using the Texas Instruments calculator to calculate cumulative relative frequency. Let me know if you have any questions.